You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
It's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet, get an isolation with the linebacker. We tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. You look at this play where we're trying to get a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley.
Hey, what's up, gang? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Emilio live in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. Here to talk a little Packers today. Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
Good. Missing my boy. But, happy to be here. Long, hot day. Excited to talk a little Packers.
Absolutely, man. What about you, Jacob? How was your day, Bob?
Man, I had a good day, I guess. I had the day off, and I'm not going to lie, I had to take my car in to get my headlights replaced and just an oil change. Not to brag, but I drive an Audi. Don't get excited. It's a 20-year-old car. It's a 2005 Audi A8. To get the two headlights replaced and the oil change, guess how much it was?
How much?
$2,500.
$620.
Unbelievable.
They have to take the front end off the car, I guess. And
I don't want to hear anybody complaining, man. We're building back better. We've been doing it for several years.
Jacob, you don't live in Tennessee, man. Just rip the bumper off, take the headlights out of it, and drive it. I don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
I've been riding dirty.
Dude, you should see how many cars don't even have hoods down here.
It's pretty bad, man. I mean, that's what they use for sleds in the wintertime.
That's true. Right? That is a good sled because you hook a chain to it and it doesn't rip through. You don't have to worry about a tarp ripping or anything. That's a nice sled.
Absolutely, man. Speaking of, all right. So we had several things kind of come down the pike today. Let's just start off with some of the headlines here.
Walked right into that one.
Ew.
Headlines are for bums. Lord have mercy. All right. So a little bit of news today. I don't think anyone who listens to our show and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any of the co-hosts here would be surprised by this, but Mike Garafolo from NFL Network tweeted out, the Packers are declining the fifth-year option for cornerback Eric Stokes. Sources say the 29th pick in the 2021 draft, Stokes played well as a rookie, but has battled injuries the past two years. He's slated for free agency next spring and can make a case for a big payday if he stays healthy. So I'll let you guys kind of go first, and then I'll give my opinion. I don't want to steal any thunder here. Let's start with you, Jacob. How do you feel about this with Eric Stokes? I don't think it's any shock, right?
No. It's a shame because Stokes has had such an odd start to his career. I was really on top of or wanted to be a big fan of him after that rookie year. I think he did just fine, enough to definitely get excited for year two. And then lo and behold, I was kind of a dud. Then you get the injuries and seems like it's more injuries. At this point though, the Packers not picking up that fifth year option, obviously for him personally, it's got to suck, but in a one of those kind of grass is always greener or looking for the sunny side of the situation. It forces him to try to make this year really, really important, where he needs to make his money if he wants to go out there in the free agent market and actually get paid. Plus, if he wants to just have a spot on this team, there's a lot of younger guys that are going to be chomping at the bit to get, that cornerback 2 spot that I would have hoped maybe we would have addressed in the draft. But you know what? Kalen King, I'm starting to get more and more excited about that guy's potential. Valentine. I think those guys are right there. So, and then with the addition of Jeff Halfley, I think that he really does have a really good shot to actually make a great comeback. I mean, I'm pulling for him personally. I would really like for him to. It's a first-round draft pick, man. He's from Georgia. Like, let's go. There's no reason that he shouldn't put it all together, in my opinion.
Talking about chip on your shoulder and Kalen King, you don't think Eric Stokes has one of those? He was a first-round pick. He went to Georgia. He went to a big school. He went to the best program in the NFL, and my man has had a rough go at it. Coming back from injury is never easy. He's always going to wonder. He's always going to, think about what could have been. We just hope that, he doesn't get wrapped up in that thinking, puts him in a spiral and he just kind of has to play. He's just got to kind of go out there and just ball out, go like you're back in, schoolyard, just you want to school somebody in front of you. And that's kind of where he needs to go with that sort of mindset. But like you said, Halfley's going to have, a good program for those DBs. And I can't, wait to see what Eric Stokes actually show up with. If he does well, pay him, right? If not, I'm sorry, man. It's not personal. It's business. It's a numbers game. There's no more time left on your contract, man. You got to go.
Yeah. I know Matt LaFleur said the other day, if I remember correctly, that he felt really, really good about where Stokes was right now in the, rehab process where, of course, getting healthy. We've heard that 1,000 times with different players, but, the big thing for me that sticks out here with Stokes, and first of all, if you see any of the locker room videos after games and stuff, he's a team guy. You could tell he's one of those dudes that he's a great teammate, that type of guy. The fact of the matter is he hasn't lived up to first-round talent, right? Now, maybe he turns it around this year. Maybe he makes that happen. The cool thing is, at least from a Packer fan standpoint, he's got motivation, right? He's playing for his career this year.
Right.
He's going to get the best version of Eric Stokes. Now, if he stays on the field, maybe he'll kind of revert back to his rookie year where he played really, really well, right? And I say really well because, as a rookie, if you grade out in the 60s, we always talk about that's typically an indicator for a player that's all right. It's going to click. It's going to come together for them at the NFL level. Now, obviously, he took a step back, but he didn't get a full season under his belt before he got hurt. When he took a step back, he was grading out in the 50s, if I remember correctly, when he did get hurt. So, again, the reason they didn't take a corner in this draft, I think it's a couple of different things. I think that Jeff Halfley watched the tape and said, you know what, I like what we got here. I can work with this. But I think it's also the fact of how the board fell too, right? They traded up and got one of, if not the best corners in the draft, right? But they chose not to. We were all every second that we used to do mock drafts and all of our draft prep going up, we're team trade back. We want to trade back. The second that Quinyon Mitchell started to fall, we're like, hey, let's jump up this thing.
Trade up. Let's go. Move it, Goody. What are you doing?
Right. So it's funny how that always works out. But again, I'm pulling for Stokes. He's got all the athletic ability in the world as long as that foot and that hammy is completely healthy. Mm-hmm. My big knock on him was just he wasn't tracking the ball at the NFL level. You go watch his tape from college, and that dude tracked the ball in man coverage so well. And then he gets to the NFL, and it's like he just, I don't know, man, he just couldn't track the ball in man coverage. So that's the big knock on him, in my opinion. But maybe he'll turn it around.
Durant said here, 12 players had their fifth-year option declined, including 4 out of the 5 QBs taken. I mean, that's rough, man. You spend all that capital on those QBs. You should have waited till the second round, right? We got to stop taking them around early.
Yeah, because that fifth-year option, I know our listeners know this. Maybe there's one or two that doesn't. That fifth-year option is like a mini franchise tag. It's fully guaranteed, right? And it's slotted in for the positions, of course. And again, his was going to be, I can't remember what the number was. It wasn't like $12 million was what his was going to be, something like that. So if you do pick up that fifth-year option like they did with Darnell Savage last year, you're kind of stuck with that hit. Now, you can trade them and the contract will travel. but we've yet to see anyone slap a 5th-year option on a player and then trade them, to the best of my knowledge. So again, I think it's, hey, look, let's go out there and earn it. And then if he comes out and balls out and has a great year, and you go, okay, we want him to be a part of the future, then you go try to, you get halfway through the season, he's playing great. Let's try to get a contract done, right? That type of thing. So you just got to keep in mind too, we're approaching the May deadline here, where I say deadline, it's actually the trigger date where Jordan Love can be extended. So that contract's going to come pretty soon, I would imagine. Now, there's a chance that it could carry over into training camp. Like I heard Wildy and Tausch talking about, I think it was earlier today or yesterday on their pod. With Kenny Clark, it was one of those things that they waited till they got the training camp, then they signed the deal, right? So it might be something like that, but the structure of the contract probably already getting put in place. So, yeah. So again, Eric Stokes, they declined his 5th-year option there. Another thing that came through from Rob Domofsky, he tweeted out the Packers rookie pool, which is basically the cap money needed to sign rookies, is set for $12.6 million. He said that's not the same as total cap space taken up by the class, because at this point, only the top 51 count on the cap. Expect some draft picks to start signing soon. Rookie camp starts Friday. So that's tomorrow. We're going to have rookies in the building. They're actually already in the building. I know the Packers put a flurry of videos out of them just trying on equipment, checking out their locker, all that stuff. We've seen Tyron Hopper at his locker, putting on a helmet, all that is really cool. So, again, what he means by that top 51, for those who may not understand that, only the top 51 salary cap hits count towards the cap in that current year. So you're going to have a couple of people that probably have minimum contracts, right? That's not going to count against the cap. I don't know why they have that top 51 rule, but it's something that's been in place for some time now. So as far as the rookie pool goes, I mean, it's one of the advantages of picking toward the back of the first round, man. There's not a whole lot of cap space tied up in that. Imagine if you come out with Jordan Morgan. I don't know what his cap hit would be, because I didn't go through and kind of cross-check it from last year. I'm sure there's inflation involved with that too. But Jordan Morgan, if he does end up being the starting left tackle, you're going to get him on the cheap. And, oh, by the way, his backup, if he beats out Rasheed Walker, is even cheaper, right, Jacob? So you're in a good spot for the most expensive position in the league outside of the quarterback position, to the best of my knowledge.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it, we're really set in a lot of areas. The tight end position's completely solidified, not paying these guys for a long time. Wide receiver room, pretty much the same way. Certain parts of the O-line, yeah, we've started to add that too. And now you look at the defense. Again, we took the safety room and the linebacker room, took them from a massive weakness and turned around and put them in a strength, and specifically the safety room. I mean, we've got, to the best of my knowledge, usually you can play 2 guys at safety. If you want to get really crazy, you got 3. Well, we now all of a sudden have 3 or 4 guys, I mean, 5 or 6 in the secondary that you need to get on the field in some way or another. And then there's another 2 or 3 that at least deserve to be, or else we pay. I mean, I'm looking at the slot position now, like with Keyshawn, I'm kind of like, why did we pay him money? You know what I mean? And I hate to say that, like, I really do hope that he has a great impact on the return game. We'll see how that comes to fruition, because we don't really quite know what the new rule change is going to mean for that. You know what I mean? But it's a great position, like you talked about. And yeah, let's go lock down quarterback. Jordan Love, to me, I think he's shown us enough that we give him a good contract. We don't worry about that anymore. He comes out and plays. It's weird too. Like, Love is the type of person where I just don't feel like when he gets the money, he's going to turn off. I think if anything, that's going to give him more of a confidence and more of like, all right, I've made my nest egg, or, I've got that first bag secured. Now I'm going to actually pour everything I have into being an absolute technician. He just seems like a guy that wants to be the best at what he does. And then you look at the running back thing, and then I'll toss it over to Emilio. I don't want to talk your ear off, but it is exciting, because running back, yeah, we paid Jacobs quite a decent bag there, but we've got nothing but savings with AJ Dillon making like $300,000 a year, or whatever the heck it is, something crazy. And then we just drafted Marshawn Lloyd, who's going to be a replacement, who could be here in the back of the future for the next 5-6 years. So I think that we're set, man. We're at the point. I would almost be surprised if we don't start making some weird, crazy last piece free agent moves and stuff like that.
Right. And Goody loves doing that. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on that if somebody comes up. But I was listening to Lombardi, and I think it was DJ that said it, but the 3 Ps, playmaker, play caller, and protection on this offense, I believe we have that now, right? We were struggling there a little bit with the protection. We've had a play caller. Matt LaFleur is an absolute chef in the kitchen. Jordan Love balled out, first half of the year, everyone wanted Clifford. Clifford might be gone now. So that can happen quickly. But no, for real, Jordan is, the guy, we got to get him paid, but to do that, we have to protect him. If we think he's going to be the dude for a long time, we have to put a wall in front of him to save him. And with that Jordan Morgan pick, I think it was the right move at the right time. Now he just has to actually show out. It's all about projections, and we're not going to know anything until September when they get on the field and actually play a couple games.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because this stat came up from Warren Sharp earlier today. He tweeted out touchdown rate in goal-to-goal situations. Green Bay led the league at 95%. Right, you got to drop all the way down to 83%. That's where San Francisco, Arizona, New England, Cleveland, and Washington was. 82% for Buffalo and Chicago, 81% for Cincinnati, 79% for LA. Let's see, you've got 78% for Baltimore, 77% for Detroit, another division rival there, 74% for Kansas City. Look at that efficiency rate as far as touchdown rate and goal-to-goal situations compared to the Super Bowl champs. It just goes to show you, you can be a high-scoring team, you can be an explosive team, but if you don't win in those crucial moments, right, you got to – it's an old cliche that people always talk about. You got to learn how to win. You got to learn how to win. And that's why it's important to take players from big programs. Another player that kind of grabbed my attention was one that they signed as an undrafted free agent, and Trent Jones, right? He came from Michigan, just won a natty, right? You guys remember Matt Flynn got paid, right? Matt Flynn back in the day got paid, had a couple of big games for the Packers, went on to get paid by the Seattle Seahawks. The reason he was in the league, if he hadn't won that national championship with LSU, I don't think he'd have been in the league, right? So I think that stuff matters. It was one of the bright spots of AJ Hawk's resume as well. He won everywhere he went, right? Yep. So it's important to bring in winners, and again, because you get into these situations where you can have a 95% rate, right? A touchdown rate and goal-to-goal situations. But if you don't have guys on your team that know how to win in those crucial situations, right? It's you're as my old ball coach used to say, you're pissing in the wind, right? So you don't want to be pissing in the wind, Jacob. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I've been there.
Jacob's tried it before. It doesn't work.
Hunting. I've been there. I've done that.
It's true. Yeah, a lot of times.
All right, we got to go ahead, Jacob.
No, nothing. The only thing is I'm watching this, I want to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, we are awesome and we're always going to be awesome. That to me is super scary of sign of regression for this year.
Yeah, it's very true. You got to be aware of that.
We are far and away. That is honestly that's a shocking stat. And I can't remember if I think I shared that on my own because I saw it and I was like, what? I mean, to be that far and above some of these other teams that basically the whole,
Thank you.
I mean, I hope that we keep that up, and I could see us actually, I really do think we have an identity in this team where it's like, well, if we get in the red zone, we want to score. And we got playmakers in so many places. And like Emilio talked about, LaFleur is an absolute magician at specifically being able to scheme open guys. So thanks, Eric. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too. We'll keep that in the chat. That's why you want to be on here live. So Turtle said, I thought people were trolling about Magoo switching to wide receiver. Did you guys see that, right?
Jerry Rice. Rice.
I'm telling you, Matt LaFleur has some plan up his sleeve about, some halfback or wide receiver throws. People are sleeping on the next generation of the offense.
Yeah,
we're bringing it back. It's full circle. The halfbacks used to throw the ball all the time. What are we doing? Why did we not put the? You imagine just having Josh Jacobs on an outside pitch and the entire defense crashes. Christian Watson on a fake chip block and just gone. Come on, I don't know.
I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
The value too of having if somehow, some way. First of all, what it tells you is we said this as soon as they drafted Pratt, right? It means Magoo is the odd man out. Right now, the question is, are you going to carry 3? I doubt you will. We need to get it. We need to get a definition, a definitive description of how that rule works with the quarterback, because there's something there for sure.
The emergency quarterback.
Yeah, but with like Alex Magoo, let's say that you put him on the practice squad pretty much the whole year, you get, hit with some injuries, right? Injury bug, then you might be able to not activate a quarterback and having like one of the third quarterbacks or whatever, have an emergency quarterback in Magoo. I can see the value there. It's easy for us to laugh at it. And honestly, on the surface, I'm thinking there's nothing to this. They're giving him a shot before they cut him, that type of thing, right? They'll probably keep him on the practice squad because he can play quarterback as well. But at the same time, that was the type of stuff they were saying about Julian Edelman back in the day, right? He was a quarterback in college who came in, and I want to say he was a 6th or a 7th round pick. And they, all right, we're going to switch you to wide receiver. And he goes on to have, some would argue, a Hall of Fame career, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just never know, man. You really don't. There's been several former quarterbacks that converted over to wide receiver. It's just nice having that little extra value. And again, I think the real value comes with him being on the practice squad and having an extra arm, and especially in camp too, right? Having that extra camp arm, because those are the things as fans we don't think about. You got to have enough arms in camp to get all the practice in, to get the tape, the practice film out there for your coaches to make an educated decision on whether you're going to keep, which specific players. I'm just so excited that camp's right around the corner. It's going to be
it's a great question. I don't know if you know, or anybody in the chat. So let's say, think about if LaFleur wanted to really get tricky, or some team wanted to get really tricky like that, and they have a max of 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, whatever it is in the situation, but they take a guy, let's say wide receiver like Magoo, who's a tweener, who actually is a quarterback who's just going to try out being a wide receiver. If they're in the practice scenario, can he actually be throwing passes predominantly like in drills as a quarterback, or would the league have some sort of rule saying, dude, you can't just throw another quarterback on your wide receiver squad?
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. We all have smartphones, and we all know they're pretty amazing, but they also can be amazingly distracting, especially when we're around other people. So US Cellular wants us to reset our relationship with our phones by putting down our phones for $5. That's right, a company that sells phones wants us to put down our phones. And to see what we find, learn more at uscellular.com/built for us.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Because let's say maybe you're carrying 5 wide receivers, 4 of them are actual starters. Let's say you're carrying 6. 5 are players that you know you're going to play, but you carry that 6th one just because you want to have that backup quarterback or an extra quarterback. Can you use him in your practice scenarios and situations as a quarterback, or do they mandate that he has to be a wide receiver? Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
I want to know if there's a way to, like with Tyson Hill. Hill. Like, could he then? He's a tight end or whatever.
No, Taysom, right? Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. That's right. Yeah.
That's close.
Former Packer. Yeah. So that to me is just kind of.
Yeah, that's another one that people probably scoffed at that, right? Like, oh, man, what's he going to do at tight end? Ended up being one of the better tight ends in the league, right?
Right.
So, let's see here. Coach Lynn in the chat said, yes, San Mateo, JC up here in Northern Cali talking about Julian Edelman. So another California guy there. Let's see here. Golly, boy, I'm all about it. Magic said we never had ex-quarterback Cobb throw the ball. I'm telling you, there was a couple times when Rodgers went down that I was like, please put Cobby back there. They have no idea what's about to hit him because that boy balled out at Kentucky, man. Absolutely balled out. He's the only, to the best of my knowledge, he's the only player in Kentucky football history to score a punt return touchdown, a kick return touchdown, a rushing touchdown, catch a touchdown, and throw a touchdown. Like he was such a blast to watch at college. I was over the moon when the Packers drafted him. This is pretty cool. Brett Rogers in the chat says Packers draft class has 14 seasons of captain experience. That is
a fun fact.
That is absolutely awesome.
That is awesome.
And then think about this too. On top of that, your 2 free agent signings: Xavier McKinney, team captain; Josh Jacobs, team captain.
Man, got a team full of captains.
That's right. I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain.
We got a quick
video. Cut that.
Yeah,
I did that during the stream. We forgot to cut that as a short.
That's right.
We got a quick video from Packers.com, and then we're going to get into some Patreon answers here. We put a little poll question out for the Patreon members asking who their favorite rookies were, or draft picks were, I should say. But here's just a quick video from Packers.com, kind of previewing the rookie mini camp and just talking a little, I don't know, just a little preview, if you will, of this part of the season. It's a pretty cool video. Let's check it out.
The rookie class arrives in Green Bay today, the eve of this weekend's minicamp, where they will don the green and gold for the first time.
Our first chance to really get our hands on these players and start to learn who they are as people and who they are as football players, us pushing them, teaching them our systems, and then try to unleash that talent to go out and play games.
No spot got more of a makeover on draft weekend than the safety position, leaving this new defense with plenty of candidates for Xavier McKinney's running mate. That list includes second-rounder Javon Bullard, the latest defensive standout from the vaunted Georgia program.
And picked! Bullard has it!
Add in a versatile piece in the physical Evan Williams from Oregon.
He got run over. Evan Williams again.
And finally, there's the 6'2 Ketan Oladapo, a team captain with loads of experience.
Broken up. Great coverage.
We're going to throw those guys into the mix, and the best players will play. You know, we're excited about the other guys. You know, just the secondary in general, even the guys coming back. I mean, competition is always going to bring out the best in everybody.
Backing up again. Taken down again.
You know, it doesn't matter necessarily whether you're a second-round pick or you're a UDFA. I mean, our job is to find the best players who go out there and compete at a high level, and everybody's going to get an opportunity.
And a good tackle. Man, he's all over the field.
It's a really good group back there. You got some, a mix of some vets, a mix of young. We're excited to see what it's going to look like and where it's going to go. At the end of the day, they got to show up and play. And everybody loves them today, but we feel pretty good about them doing that.
Is it just me, or has the Packers media team been cranking it up a notch, man? I feel like they're doing a much better job now with the content. What do you think?
I think so too. I don't know what happened. They got excited. They must have heard something in the background when they were working, because honestly, they have been absolutely cranking it out. But I really am so excited about everybody coming in.
Jacob, you hung that all day?
I did, and I actually heard a Home Depot ad on one of the other podcasts I listened to.
Did you?
Man, I'm like, I didn't even realize how. Again, that song slaps, bro.
It does.
As the kids say.
I will say this too. I know you guys and many other people were complaining because some of the ads that are running are feminine products, but I listened to a couple of podcasts today, same exact ads on some big name podcasts. So it just must be a thing right now, right? What you got here, Emilio? What are we sharing on the screen? This isn't your tax, is it?
This looks like I believe the third quarterback rule. Just top and a couple Q&As on it. I'm gonna get close just so I can read it. But so it says the NFL emergency third quarterback rule in May. NFL clubs approved the 2023 bylaw proposal 1A that permits each team to dress a 49th player as its emergency third quarterback. Says what is an emergency third quarterback? A club may designate a bona fide quarterback as a inactive / emergency third quarterback for a regular season or postseason game The player must be listed on the game day administration report that is submitted prior to or at the 90-minute meeting, subject to the following. The emergency third quarterback must be on the club's 53-player roster. The player cannot be an elevated practice squad player. The club's starting quarterback QB1 and its backup QB2 must also be on the club's 53-player roster. And then just two more highlights. A club must have 2 bona fide quarterbacks on its 47/48-player game day active list to designate an emergency third quarterback. And a club cannot designate an emergency third quarterback if it has 3 or more bona fide quarterbacks on its 47/48-player game day active list.
A family, of course, says bona fide.
Yeah.
So there's the answer to the question. They've got to be on the 53, right?
Right.
So that kind of sucks, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt for sure.
Is your cat yelling at you right now? You feed
Yeah,
that?
bro. He was yelling at me the whole time I was trying to read that.
I know. I could hear.
Where's he at, man? Get him on camera. Is he close by or no?
There you go. No, I'll grab him. He'll come back.
He gone.
He'll come back.
I appreciate you pulling that up, Emilio. That gives a little bit of clarification there. So we're keeping 3 quarterbacks on the 53. Could be, right, William?
Right.
Could be.
That's why Magoo had to switch to wide receiver, right? There's no way we could have a 4th on there and still be able to run that third emergency.
Ooh, maybe you're right there.
I think that is.
Is there a situation where you see us maybe having a free roster spot? Maybe, let's say, the tight end position, maybe the O-line, maybe the fact that we're going to be keeping I guess that'd be the only 2 positions, I guess, where I think we can maybe lose a player as opposed from last year. You know what I mean? Or maybe the D-line, because of the fact we're switching from 3-4 to 4-3. Do we get rid of maybe one of those interior linemen / edges that aren't really an edge to 4-3? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, a player has to come off somewhere, right? It's you only have so many spots, so many numbers. So I could definitely see that, and maybe we get a little bit more 2-way players with the kickoff rule not being as, maybe we don't need as many runners or something like that.
Amelia, go feed that thing. You starve that thing? What's going on, bro?
All right, so let's do this before we get into the Patreon.
He's playing with his toy. He's playing with his string.
Camera shot cat.
After we snuck you on a fancy feast.
It's hilarious too. I was downstairs. Mandy was on the phone with the bride, right? Getting a wedding coordinated, if you will, one of the businesses we got. And the dogs started barking at something outside, right? The 2 shepherds did. And I'm like, shut up. She's on the phone, trying to get them quiet. So they both get on the couch like they're in trouble. And then the next thing you know, Lincoln's chewing on Edda's back leg. That's all you heard. I'm going, shut up. So finally, Edda jumps on the floor, and she sits down with her ears pinned like she's been scolded. Lincoln walks over like, okay, fine. He grabs a toy out of the basket. It's a squeaky toy. The whole time, bro. Mandy's looking at me like, would you please do something? It was awesome. So if you guys would, though, I know we're going to hurt of people in here. If you're on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want, but if you hit that like button, it'll help boost the algorithm for other Packer fans so they can find this channel and find this type of content. Let's go to the Patreon question real quick. So I put this in the Patreon group. I said, PTA Posse poll question for the pod. Who was your favorite draft pick and why? So let's just start right here at the top. We got Chris Nichols. First off, says Bullard. Time to find a versatile physical safety who can play the slot. Nixon, not enough there. He also wears a huge gold chain. Bull. Let's go. All right. Got that swag. Chris, he's all about that swag. Eric Sutherland also, the very next message said, Bullard, did you see his grill? Oh, and he's going to be a perfect fit in the slot. So it kind of feels like you might get a little bit of him in the slot and Oladapo potentially playing in the box. That would be an interesting 3-safety set there. But let's do this since we're talking about Bullard. Let's go ahead and pull the card real quick. And we'll get back to I guess next will be Marshawn Lloyd. So we'll get back to him in just a second. So here's the PFF card. Let me go full screen, make it a little easier on y'all to read. So Javon
cool seeing him actually labeled as a Packer. Sorry,
right, the green and gold in the background, like Emilio was saying.
Can you show us the lineups too when you're done with this? Just so
they're right there, actually down in the bottom left. You'll see them. Yeah,
no, not alignment lineups. Like when you show the team on team, I want to see who they have slotted as starters.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if they've got it updated or not. We can check. That would be awesome if they did. The last time I checked, they still had the 34 defense up, and it was last year's roster. So it might take them a little bit to get that updated. But nonetheless, Javon Bullard, 5'11", 195. Again, this is just PFF data, so it may be a little off from the actual combine measurements. Took with the 58 selection there in the second round, obviously. PFF grades in 2021, 70.4, then increased to an 80.4 in 2022. Then jumped to an 82.8 in 2023. You're seeing that incremental growth every year. When you look at his snap alignment, he played deep 362 snaps, the slot 144 snaps, and in the box 80 snaps. Now, the year before, 2022, he played 510 snaps in the slot. So he's got that slot experience, but played more deep safety last year. And when we do his chalk talk later in the week, you guys, it is such a blast to watch, man. I'm telling you, he's flying all over the place, filling run gaps from the third level. It's just absolutely wild. The big thing too, if you look over to the right here, Jacob, look at that big game against Alabama. At Alabama on the road, 80.4 in that game. Best game of the year was against the best competition. That's a really good sign, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also one other thing is he's one of those guys too that his worst of the worst game is a 55, which, I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, that's just a hair underneath being like a respectable game. And he only has 3 that you could consider kind of scoff at. Other than that, they've all been good, if not great games. So,
yeah, completely agree. Yeah, the other thing too, coverage grade 88.4, missed tackle rate was only 10.8%, right there toward the top of the of college football. Average depth of run tackle, another elite grade there as far as how it came into play in comparison across the college football. Run defense grade was a little under the median line there to 67.1, but again, he played deep safety too. You're going to see the tape and go, how in the heck did he get that bad of a run defense grade? Because it was just awesome. Forced incompletion rate, though, 26.9%. I mean, you're not going to find too many DBs in college football that had a higher forced incompletion rate than Javon Bullard. So really excited to see him play. What do you think, Emilio? Bullard, you got anything to add, Buff?
Excited, man. He's not like we haven't gone to the Georgia well before, but I hope this one pans out in the secondary. You know, if Eric Stokes maybe lights a fire, another Bulldog in the back there, I don't know, but I really am. I can't wait.
I have to just real quick. The epic battle between Affam and Paul rages on. Affam says, Paul tried turning an Uncrustable Gourmet for dinner tonight. Paul immediately says, Affam has a Walmart bag stuck in his bushes since November. Paul needed his emotional support water bottle during the recent storms. And Paul responds back with, Eric sent his wife back to the grocery store after she forgot the stretchy straw. I don't even know where you guys get these, but
we now return to your normal programming, right? I love the update, though. All right, so that was Javon Bullard. Let's do this. Let's go to where's our message at? Bang. AFAM makes his kids eat their TV dinners with no TV. God almighty. All right. The next one was AZ Marky Mark said Marshawn Lloyd. He keeps the running back healthy, viable, and we become a three-dimensional on offense, he's saying. So talks about kind of keeping that running back room a little bit stacked there and keeping everybody healthy. If you kind of mix and match as far as who's getting the carries a large majority of the time, if you can kind of turn it into a 3-headed monster, man, that's something that could be very, very
definitely valuable. Because nothing runs like a deer.
John Deere green on a hot summer night. He rode Billy Bob loves Charlene.
Hey, you talking about a guy with a chip on his shoulder, boys. He's playing for his career as well, and Goody's talked a lot about competition. you've done that now, man. The way that you've put this roster together, and you're bringing back guys like Eric Stokes. You didn't pick up the 5th-year option. He's going to be playing for his career.
Yep.
AJ Dillon, same thing. Another contract year. You're going to get the best of AJ Dillon. I don't know if you guys seen Keyshawn Nixon's tweet a little while back. He said something along the lines of they really think they're going to take me off the field or something like that. Meaning like he's going to battle his ass off for that slot spot, right? So the competition, man, there's nothing better than it in football.
Because it brings out the best out of everybody. Or it's going to bring out the best out of someone, and that'll differentiate them from the rest, right? I mean, in high school, you didn't have competition like that. You had first string and backups. You know, there's no one pushing you. And in college, these dudes were, you know, elite of the elite. They got all the calls, they got all the plays anyway. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Now, Coach Lynn's saying, not sure if Dillon will make the roster. It's a great point, Coach, because like, you know, are they going to carry 4? Probably not, but I kind of see it as if Dillon shows up and he is the best version of Dillon, I could see them trying to work Emmanuel Wilson onto the practice squad, right? I'm pretty sure he's still practice squad eligible, but that's going to be interesting to see. And the thing is, they've got nothing to lose there with A.J. Dillon. To the best of my knowledge, there's no guaranteed money if they cut him before the end of camp. So it's really I was kind of surprised that AJ didn't get a better deal, which he may have, and he said, "You know what? I don't want to leave Green Bay." Right? That definitely could have been the case there too. Yep. So obviously, AZ Marky Mark talking about Marshawn Lloyd. Let's pull his card up now. All right, and again, this is Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie running back from USC. Let's see, 5'9", 210. He's thick. Let's see, there's a 3rd round selection, 89th overall pick. PFF grades 2021 was booty cheeks 49.4, but in 2022 he jumped all the way to a 77.9, and then 2023 jumped to an 81.7. Okay, another key thing to look at right here. Look at the yards per carry. Can you guys see you can see my cursor, right? Yep. Look at the yards per carry. In 2021, 3.6 yards per carry. 2022 he jumped to 5.1. 2023 jumped to 7.1 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, that was an offense that really didn't run.
Right.
Really.
Kind of backyard ball, wasn't they?
It was backyard ball, so to the point where I don't know. I mean, there's, I guess, an argument to be said that that's why his yards per average is higher. But at the same time, it's like they didn't really like to run. They weren't great at running. I think that once he gets behind a more traditional, you know, run first team. I should say run first, but a good offensive line that actually has a decent run scheme. And like Matt LaFleur, I want to think too that if we got these guys, like if Morgan's going to slide in there at whatever position, if by chance Monk or somebody like that beats out one of the interior guys, I hope that means that we have an actual vision to get the run game going. And he's the type of back where, I mean, we watch his highlights. The dude can just stop and go and accelerate with that like not many people can. And you add the fact that he's a human bowling ball, dude, and he's just bing 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 bouncing off of guys, you know. And I want to see us get aggressive, and like you talked about, hopefully AJ Dillon recognizes like the same thing as Stokes and Nixon, a lot of these guys, that there's younger talent that comes in here and they're hungry. They don't have a guaranteed contract already, so I want to see it, man. It'll be fun.
Another thing too, you know, we talked about it the whole draft process, Emilio. What's their zone grade? Right? His zone grade 67.8. His gap grade was 93.0. So like,
have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 Whiskey declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, just because someone has a high or a low zone grade doesn't mean that the Packers are okay. They're definitely going to take them because of that. You know, how many times did we see it when we would make a draft pick in a mock draft? The quote unquote experts would say, well, that's an interesting fit. That doesn't really fit, right? It's like, okay, here you go. He is specifically a gap style running back, and the Packers just completely ignored the zone grade and took him anyway. Elusiveness rating.
Elusive rating. What does that even mean? 177?
I don't know. It's through the roof though, as far
Broke
as
the scale, yeah.
Doubt. Yards after contact per attempt, 3.97. It's just about maxed out as well.
That's
and again,
wild.
the rushing grade was 87.2. So, what do you think, Emilio? You think Marshawn? I think Marshawn Lloyd's running back too.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be another Lou Nichols situation. Draft him, doesn't make the team, not heard from again. We should have probably paid more attention to Goody in the offseason. The dude signed a tackle, drafted a tackle, signed a running back, drafted a running back, signed a safety, drafted 3 safeties. I mean, he laid it out there for us. We talked about it, but being able to bring one in, I don't think that, Lloyd's going to fall through the cracks. I think he's going to show up, and like we talked about, and we're going to keep talking about this entire offseason, is the competition in each room is going to get out of hand. And I think Matt LaFleur is for it, because at some point they need to coach, right? They need to get these players better. They need to bring them past where they were at college. They need them to grow in year 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's their job. Goody did his job. He got us people in, got us talent. Now Matt and the coaching staff got to do their job, and the players got to show up and earn that paycheck.
Definitely.
Are you worried about the fumble stuff? That's what AFM's talking about. That's a crazy stat there. What do you think, Clay?
I've seen that too. Yeah, it says Marshawn Lloyd fumbled once per every 45 touches in his career. When you say career, it probably goes all the way back to where was he at? Wasn't he at South Carolina before USC, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately went to the scouting report to see what the cons were, and it doesn't mention anything about the fumbles. It says, he wants to bounce runs out to the sideline too much, develop this more at USC, and then he says he does not see cutback lanes as fast, as often as he needs to for zone blocking schemes, which pretty much lines up with the grade there. So I don't see anything as far as
what I got to say about that is 5,280 feet. You pick this ball up and you run every one of them, Petey. You're killing me. You're killing me, Petey.
One of them,
Hold on to that football. It would be like dude, you're carrying it around at the facility. Everybody that, when the high school kid fumbled and you got to carry the ball next day in the school, anyone on the team can go to punch it out.
He said zero fun, sir.
Zero fun, sir.
All right, let's go on here.
God, man, now I got to watch that movie. Come on.
It's so good. Jabin Tebow in the PTA Patreon group said, Oladipo, I love the value and the reaction. He was one of my draft crushes, too. I like David James here, too. David James said, to hell with it. He said, so many I can't choose one, but Bullard, Cooper, Lloyd, Oladipo are all weapons, and the big boys were there to protect Love now. Let's see. Watch out for King with that chip on his shoulder as well. Great draft, and added to last year's draft, the whole team is stacked now. So since he went ahead and mentioned Oladipo, let's start there, and then we'll move on to King as well, because he kind of mentioned him as well. So let's go to Katan Oladipo's card real quick and kind of see what sticks out to us here as we drop that down. Yeah, so Katan Oladipo, PFF grade, starting in 2021, 73.6. 2022, he jumped to 79.9. 2023, 88.3. Run defense grade just through the freaking roof. I don't think you can get any higher. 91.3. Forced incompletion rate of 19.4%. Missed tackle rate of 12.1%, still above the median line. Average depth of run tackle, same thing. About 3/4 of the bar full there at 8.9. And this coverage grade, like I said, 84.4. His snaps, 278 snaps in the slot. He had 292 in the box, 174 deep. He can play all over the place, man. The year before, 285 snaps deep, 268 in the box, 192 in the slot. So they mixed and matched him all over the place. He just looks like a freaking dog, man. Obviously did his best work against Stanford last year, had a 93.4 grade there. Notice the Washington game down here too. Washington, obviously the number 2 team in the country as far as, they were the runner-up for national champions. 82.6. He showed up in that game. Also showed up against Notre Dame, a 78.7. Played some of his best ball against some big programs, man, no doubt about it. But, Jacob, you don't like this pick, do you, Oladipo?
Yeah. Nah. I think that it was pretty much just a great day for drafting the safety position. Even the guy like Evan Williams, we can talk about him in coming up, but that was great. All of them, like we've talked about, they're just human missiles that shoot, they diagnose, and they take good angles and they pursue. Again, the guy here, he had one bad game against Arizona. As Emilio talked about, that's because he was trying to rush Jordan Morgan. That's obviously why he had that bad game. But yeah, you look at the actual grades, and this dude, he's just playing at an elite level. And most of the time, and like I said, even on his worst of the worst games, got a couple 60s, a high 50s, and other than that, he's playing good ball. And he's just one of those guys, again, that's a chess piece, because look at the fluctuation throughout all 3 years of his collegiate career there. He went back and forth from the slot to the corner to the D-line to the box to the deep. He really did spurse it out pretty much evenly between the slot, the box, and the deep, which is really what we're looking for. So it lets us know that if something, God forbid, happens to him, Xavier, or to whoever fills into that number 2 spot, we have 2 or 3 guys that can play deep. They've done it before. Granted, not at an NFL level, but at least to the point where they're not just kind of getting put out there on an island and asked to figure it out. So I'm excited, man.
Definitely. And a 5th round selection, Emilio picked 170.
When we're talking about safeties, the safety dance, S A A A A F F F F T. No,
what the hell just happened to me?
You don't know what the safety dance is, dude?
Seizure live on air. What just happened there?
Bro, hold on, Emilio, can you pull it up? My computer will die if I try it.
Can I pull up what? What are you asking me to pull up?
Okay, chat, let them know that they're stupid. I didn't know what a cannoli was. If they don't know what the safety dance is,
let them know. He said, chat, let them know they're stupid.
Right here. The chat's going to let you know real quick. You guys are stupid idiots. See? You guys are
stupid idiots.
Is it from Men Without Hats?
Yes, the safety dance, Men Without Hats.
We'll try to get to it some other time, okay?
No, the chat's saying you guys are idiot faces.
God, I love it. What? Me and Emilio looked at each other like, "What is going on?"
Was that from the outtakes at the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or what, man? Like,
oh my gosh, you guys are getting roasted in the chat now.
I think I seen that on Laverne and Shirley one night.
Yeah, when was I supposed to see that? When I was in the womb? I don't understand.
They play it at drive-ins. You should have brought your race car bed there.
I only had A&W drive-ins. That's it.
Oh man, I was crying watching Jacob. I'm like, is my internet going out or something?
I thought he was lagging. I thought he was glitching.
He said it was number 1 hit in 1984, so I don't know why you wouldn't know that, Emilio.
That's true. That's true, because I wasn't born for another 10 years, so that makes sense.
It's just a gleam in your daddy's eye.
I was 2 years old living in the trailer park smoking lung dogs for top. That's what I love it. All right, so let's move on to the next Patreon message here. Let's see, we hit they asked for King too, didn't they? And then they were talking about Edgerrin Cooper. So let's go to Kalen King first. All right, if that's cool with you guys. Let's see if we can find Kalen King's card here real quick. This is a dude that I'm really, really excited about, because he could end up being a diamond in the rough. You see, obviously this year, if there was a pick this year that kind of mimics the Jaden Reed pick, this is the one, right? I mean, you see 2021, the PFF grade was 66.4, right? Last year, 2023, it was 60.3. But right there in the middle, in 2022, 89.0. Someone pulled up a mock draft. You guys know that as soon as the draft is over, they go ahead and do a initial mock draft for the next year just to kind of get the first one in the database. He was the top corner, I believe, in the mock draft this time last year. So pretty wild stuff that he kind of fell as far as he did. The grades were pretty cheeks, but that 89.0 is pretty solid. What the hell's wrong with you, Jacob? What are you doing right now? What are your problems?
Trying to communicate with Emilio so that the show didn't get interrupted, but I obviously failed.
Jacob texts me the links, then goes on to Rumble, messages in Rumble chat saying, "Hey, Emilio, I sent you the link," then grabs the chat and puts it on the screen.
Will there be a copyright hit, Jacob? That's what I need to know.
Probably. Maybe.
So you're trying to get me canceled on a daily
basis.
Jacob,
we only got one copyright, okay? And there's only one copyright that's worth it, and you know what that is.
That drop right there was perfect.
That was actually pretty. That was
all right. So there you go. Kalen King obviously took him in the 7th round. What do you got to lose there? 5'11", 191 out of Penn State. That 89 PFF grade, man. If he kind of goes back to that second team All-American 2022 performance, man, I think we may have something. Now his snaps, obviously, he's a corner, right? He plays on the edge, on the outside, I should say. 391 snaps on the outside. Then in 2022, 474. Played in the box, 60 snaps. Only played 9 snaps in 2022 in the slot. So he's definitely an outside corner in that regard. So there is Mr. Kalen King. Now the other one.
The only thing I would say about Kalen King is that everybody says don't watch that Marvin Harrison tape, and I think that's gonna give him a little bit of edge, right? I mean, he got worked that game. He got absolutely worked that game. So he's not going to want to make that same mistake in the pros. Obviously, people are going to get beat, right? But is it scheme? Was it choice? Was it a bad decision? Even the best corners are going to get beat if they play aggressive. So, I mean, we're going to ask this kid to play, and I think he's going to.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got to lose with the 256 pick? So let's see here what else we got. They were asking for Edgerrin Cooper, right? Let's pull up his card real quick. And this will give you kind of a little bit better idea of why he wasn't my top linebacker. But I've not been this excited for a defensive player in a long time, man. Edgerrin Cooper. So if you notice the PFF grades, 2021 he was a 64.1. 2022 he jumped barely to a 66.1. And in 2023 we did the chalk talk yesterday. He played like a man possessed, Jacob. 90.8. You could see it all over the tape too, man. Especially in the run defense. Really, really solid run defender. Run defense grade was an 87.6. Pass rush grade was an 86.4. Coverage grade, 85.1. The average depth of run tackle was a little low there at 3.1. And then the missed tackle rate, he does miss, quite a few tackles, kind of at the median line there at 12.8%. But again, they'll work on that tackling for me. 6'3", 230 coming out of Texas A&M, the 45th pick overall. When you look at where he lined up, again, they just kind of, they couple everything at the college level into box, if you're playing linebacker, so they won't specify whether you're playing the will or the mock in these different situations. Now he did play slot 82 times, and we seen it. You guys remember the blitz where he fired? It looked like he was going to line up in the slot, and then he blitzed off the edge. So he did play kind of that flex look. When they put the Y out there, sometimes the mock will follow the Y out, technically putting them in a slot situation, right? So I think you've seen a little bit of that when they were just trying to mix and match personnel against Texas A&M there. So, Jacob, how you feeling about Edgerrin Cooper, man? That was a fun watch yesterday, wasn't it, dude?
Yeah. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's going to absolutely shine. When you look at this. So his worst game was a 60 against, is that Mississippi State? Every other game he played was at least a good game. He's a 64.7 is the only other semi-bad game. But if you had a 64.7 from a rookie, that's amazing. He played against LSU, got an 81.4. The guy's going against South Carolina with an 87.1. Tennessee's 80. Alabama basically an 80. Arkansas 70. I mean, and a 66.6 is not a bad game. That just basically means you went in there, you did your job. Flash outs against Auburn, guys. He played 71 against Miami. He's got 81.9 against the guys you're supposed to do that against, the smaller schools. I mean, he's I don't know what clicked. And even like his 2021, 2022 snaps, 64 grade, again, we'd be okay with that. If it's a rookie stuff, that's kind of just, you come in and you do your job. You're like, I just think that something clicked with him. I don't know if he got a little bit faster, if the FBI went, the football IQ went a little bit off the charts, if he just matured in that way, if the game slowed down. We watched him on film, and he has this crazy ability to stop. Me and Emilio talked about it. He makes some sort of exaggerated step, whether he's faking or he's actually diagnosing the play. And then after that one step, he goes. There's no stutter. And if it's anything else, if the guy's coming right at him, he's constantly chopping. He's keeping his hands moving. He's flowing. He's not taking on blocks. He's evading stuff, and then he makes the play. So I'm just excited as all get out, because I really do think this is a rare situation where a younger guy can come in and make Quay better, because maybe he takes a little bit of that, and then the green dot, if that's what he does, it comes in. Again, the game slows down as a magic. So I think down for both of them, if they're both playing at a really elite level, it'd be great to watch. When's the last time we had two Green Bay linebackers that were
Just physical freaks, man.
Just studs, you know what I mean? Hawk and who? I don't know. Clay and who? You know?
And the dude's got that high temp grease in his hips. I mean, he is smooth in the hips, and he's very, very flexible. I mean, coming around, we saw how many times he was able to dip underneath that lineman is unbelievable. That he has that play flexibility, can spring back and still get in the backfield, make a play right after that. You know, even though your body's hanging over your knees, your foot.
That's what she said. Michael, please.
Serious.
Please.
The kids at the end.
He said his body was hanging over his knees. I had to hit you with it. Go ahead, Jacob.
Really made a great point here. The Chicago Bears, man, they're a really good organization. He says he heard that the first 10,000 fans get a commemorative nail polish for the first Bears home game, and I'm told that the second
it's either blue or orange, right? You get one or the other. Not like we get sunglasses. Right. Packers give us sunglasses.
It's actually hot pink. They're not. They're just doing hot pink only.
Oh, hot pink.
I don't listen too much Taylor Swift.
All right, so let's get it back on track. We're at the 57-minute mark here. That was Edgerrin Cooper. Let's go back to the let me get it again here. Let me pull it back up. Let's go back to suck. That's correct. All right, Ron Samville in the Patreon group said, when I hear Sam Seal talk about how much heart and desire to succeed he has, it makes me think Morgan has the brightest future of them all. Also, Do You Rant in the chat said, Jordan Morgan, I just feel that when you have Jordan Love up for a contract extension, what better way to let Love know the Packers want him to be the starter for the long haul than to draft the offensive tackle in the first round? Obviously, Mike Berry said Edgerrin Cooper as well. So let's pull up Jordan Morgan real quick and kind of see what the card looks like there. We'll go rapid fire, excuse me, on these last few here.
Jordan Morgan walked in and said this about Jordan Love.
It's my quarterback.
That's all that matters, man. He's going to protect his blind side for the next 4 years plus.
Yeah, so 6'6", 320. That's a big human being, Jacob. Out of Arizona, obviously the 25th overall pick. PFF grade starting in 2021, 53.1. 2022, 84.2. 2023, 83.4. Just steady Eddie across the board. Run block grade, 77. That's what they love about him. The zone blocking grade, 77.7. True pass set, pass block grade, 77.0. Pass block grade, 87.1. Gap grade, 66.3. Still well above the median line there. Obviously played all of his snaps at left tackle. I know many people were trying to project him to potentially play inside. I just think it makes all the sense in the world to try to give him an opportunity to win that starting left tackle spot, to possibly upgrade there. So played his best game, if you'll notice down here in the bottom right, that UCLA game, faced up against Latu, right?
Yep.
The best edge defender, arguably the best defensive player in the entire draft. He absolutely shut him down. 91.1 against the best edge rusher in college football, essentially. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool stuff. But anything you want to add to that, fellas, as far as Jordan Morgan? I know Emilio's completely on board. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, no, it's just awesome to see. We have the fact that he had that high of a grade against, the first guy that was drafted in the 2024 NFL draft as the first defensive player, the guy that was standalone the best defensive pass rusher. They say since the Watt or Bosa brothers. They're talking about also how the guy just has like a nonstop motor, that he's a good locker room guy. Bill Belichick says he's awesome. He's one of only 2 tackles that had an 85 plus grade and run blocking, pass blocking, and one other stat that's just unbelievable other than Joe Alt. So to me, like Emilio said, at the first time that when I heard that his name was announced, I went, oh, really? And then I thought after just a few minutes, it's like, he's the last of the premier tackles. We got him at 25. We didn't have to do anything to get him. That's a massive benefit to our team. And the fact that he can maybe kick inside if we need him to. But I think that if he is a standalone left tackle, that means we can plug Walker somewhere. We can move the line in a way that we want to before the season starts. And I think that we got our best 5 out there, and he's part of it. So
at a position of need. We needed a left tackle, dude. We just got rid of David Bakhtiari. We don't want to talk about it. We know Rasheed. Right. And Rasheed Walker, he did well, but man, you got to keep pushing these guys. The dude, he was a 7th-round pick. I think Jordan Morgan has it. And again, someone that's played 2,000 snaps in the past 3 years and that has, more than 8 starts. Everybody on Amarius Mims. I'm glad we didn't go down that route because I was against that from the beginning, man. I don't like not having a little bit of burn there because you don't know what could have happened. You don't know what he doesn't know. And I think Jordan Morgan's going to be ready to roll.
Yeah. Magic in the chat says Mike Wall said he has to learn to use his hands better, but definitely had elite feet. You can see that all over the tape. The way he pulls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he moves laterally like a much smaller player.
Right.
Almost like you would see like a pass catching Y, right?
Mm-hmm.
That type of footwork. Pretty impressive.
But why would those college coaches work on his hands when they're happy with the captainship that he has? His feet are good. He protects their quarterback. Why they're not working on him in his senior year, junior year, whatever it is. They're not working on him, working on his 8th progress down, his hand placement, his hand chops, all that stuff. Whereas we got to worry about these freshmen coming in, NIL's going, like they got so many other things on the mind that that stuff is going to be nice. And not like we don't have a really good offensive line coach that has churned out some stars and diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's see here. Final one from Patreon. Nebraska Rev says, Monk seems like a great pick. I'm looking forward to seeing him next to Zach Tom. Also love King's attitude. He is out to prove some people wrong. Obviously, we talked about King already, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at Monk. The exciting thing about Jacob Monk from Duke, he did not have a draft card, which is really awesome. Just shows you how under the radar he was. So we just pulled up his PFF card itself. 6'3", 320, like I said, guard out of Duke. PFF grade starting in 2019. Again, he was a 5-year player. PFF grades aren't nothing great. 55.2, 68.1, 67.3, 62.9, and then, of course, in 2023, 64.4. When you see the upside, when you see the tape, though, I mean, the dude, it was pretty darn impressive. And, again, a guy that was a 3-year captain, so obviously Goody loves that leadership. Mike Wall raved over him, and that's all I need to hear, right? If Mike Wall sees something bad, he's going to say it, right? And when he was talking about Jacob Monk, it's like, hey, this dude could turn out to be something special, was the vibe I got. But anything you guys want to add there to the Jacob Monk talk?
I'll be honest, I had no idea who he was.
I didn't either.
That kind of made me mad because for the most part, I think when I actually went through most of the draft picks, there was maybe about 10, 11, something like that I had no idea their names. But other than that, man, we did pretty good, I want to say, as a whole group here trying to deep dive on these things. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's also played on the same line as Graham Barton, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Graham Barton played left tackle, if I remember correctly. So he played left tackle, and Jacob Monk played guard. Some people said he played center too, but when you looked at the snap by positions, I couldn't really find them.
He played center, I think, earlier in if the past 3 years, I think he played guard, and then the first 2 or something like that, he was playing center. But Goody gets a 4-year deal on this guy. When I was just going through the Packers roster last year, they don't have it updated, but on the depth chart version, all they have is Sean Ryan in second string on right guard. So, I mean, that's an empty slot, right? That's a hole. Right. We need to do something about that. So, you bring in the rookie.
You know what I'd like to do is, if we could by chance get Mr. Mike Wall in here again, ask him, because when we watched Jacob Monk, it looked like his footwork was really well, was developed pretty well, and that he was really good at picking up those twists and those kind of TE, stunts and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'd like to ask Mike Wall would be like, hey, if you got a guy, let's say, so for instance, it seems like almost all of our offensive linemen have good feet. We talked about Morgan being able to pull, Monk being able to pull. The other guy that we got, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it seemed like he was pretty decent. Glover, yeah, at nimble and that kind of stuff. So if you have a guy that's either really good with footwork or a guy that's really good with hands, like chopping and stabbing and all that kind of stuff, what's easier to teach once you get to the NFL level? You know what I mean? Or would you prefer a guy that comes in with impeccable footwork but doesn't have the hands, or would you rather have a guy that's an unbelievable hand chop, kind of guy, but doesn't quite have the footwork? I wonder what would be.
What would you pick?
I had this conversation with Mike Wall last year, and he said it's all about the footwork. If a player has the footwork, then it's just a matter of work ethic and putting it all together, right? You see some players, they can bench press 40 reps, right? They can have all the agility, everything. And then you see them on tape and they just don't have the footwork, whether it's the kick step at left tackle or the proper footwork and placement on pulling inside. If you've got that, you've got something you can work with. That's the thing that he said about Rasheed Walker. When Rasheed Walker took over at left tackle, early on, we had a conversation on the show with Mike, and I asked him, what do you think about Rasheed Walker? He said, damn good feet. That's what he said. And what happened? He held his own, right? So everybody falls in love with that bench press, right? And I'm not saying it's not important, but
where's your base start though, right, Clayton? I mean, how are you standing up to protect in to begin with? That's why everyone does the ladder drills, cone drills, footwork, all that. So
definitely,
I could see that, and like we said, we have an O-line that can work on hands and everything else. Let's get someone in here with some, we want light feet. We want, dancers, ballerinas. We want all that stuff. That's what we're looking for. We want to be able to chop it up, right?
Exactly.
There it is. See,
they got to be able to dance. We know Tim can dance. I wish I still had that drop of him.
Me too,
bro. I gotta comb back through and find it. It's out there somewhere. I will say this: you talked about how he caught us off guard, Jacob. Emilio, he was the only one that wasn't on my board, right?
Yep.
Only draft pick the Packers made. This is supposed to be a 150 board. Now, we took it to like 260 or whatever, but he was the only one that wasn't on it. And when I went and looked at the consensus big board and seeing he was in the 270s, it made me feel a lot better. Like, okay, I wasn't the only knucklehead that missed that one. But Goody's seen something.
Goody was watching the Barton tape and said, I need that man on the inside protecting Barton, saving his tail.
That's a real thing. If I remember correctly, the reason Joe Montana, it was either Joe Montana or Dwight Clark. I think the reason that Joe Montana got drafted by the 49ers was because Bill Walsh went in to watch a tight end work out.
Yep.
And they needed a quarterback to throw. So Joe Montana happened to be the quarterback throwing to him, right? And that's how he discovered Joe Montana. It sounds silly, but that's a real thing, man. It really happens. So
we need to keep that in mind next year.
Yes.
Watching like some of the top 50s. And O-line specifically, maybe O-line or D-line specifically, watching partners in crime on that same team that are maybe in the 200s or something like that.
Definitely. And when we took Jordan Morgan, Graham Barton was the best lineman on my board. But keep in mind, everybody's projecting Graham Barton to be a left guard. So there's more value at Jordan Morgan being a true left tackle. When they made the pick, I think Graham Barton was in the 25 spot. Jordan Morgan was in the 32 spot. So they were 1 and 2, but in the same current tier as far as an actual grade, whether it was a 66 or a 67 that the Packers had a grade on him. And immediately you hear the Bill Belichick response was, hey, there's no two ways about it. This is a left tackle. Jordan Morgan's a left tackle. There's where the value was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Goody chose him over Barton. Guarantee it. So
bingo.
Interesting stuff, man. Love it. So let's just a quick little shout out again. Thank y'all for participating on the PTA Posse on Patreon. Chris Nichols, Eric Sutherland, AZ Marky Mark, Jabin Tebow, David James, Doug, Ron Sanville, DU Rant, Mike Berry, and of course, Nebraska Rev. Appreciate y'all supporting us over at Patreon. If that's something you guys are interested in joining, click on the link in the description of this video. You'll see it. Or you can go to patreon.com/ it should be Packer Fan Total Access. And we do a lot of giveaways. We've got Jacob, did we get the green light for giving away that Paul Hornung football?
It's right there, man.
Oh, man. All right. So we got an autographed football. It's autographed by the Golden Boy, Paul Hornung. That's going to be our next giveaway. Jacob, when should we give it away, man? When should we do it? We need a little bit of time. You want to say like maybe it's the 2nd right now. Maybe we do it early next week. Is that cool with you?
Yes.
Yeah,
there you go. All right,
pick a date, maybe a practice date or something.
Yeah, we'll get.
What I'm worried about is it comes in a glass case. The football's been a little deflated. It's got the GSA authentication, so it's legit. I just don't know how the heck I'm going to send it to somebody and not crack that glass. I'll have to Fragility. I'll mark it Fragility.
Yeah.
I'll take care of that too, Jacob. I'll make sure I pay for the insurance and all that stuff. So we'll be good to go there.
Bunch of bubble wrap and just write Fragility on there and we'll be good.
Fragility. Must be French.
French, that's right.
Yeah. So there you go. Appreciate y'all supporting us. Y'all got anything else, fellas, before we get out of here?
I do. I feel like that we should just try to play it. As Doug says, the safety dance is so old. It might be public domain now. I mean, it is.
I'm going to pull up the damn safety dance and see if we can find it. Let's do this.
It says that apparently the Illinois governor spiked the Dome Stadium plan for Chicago.
Nice.
I don't know if that's true, but if so.
While you're doing that, everybody hit that like, share, subscribe, swing over to Rumble, Twitter, YouTube.
This top-notch content.
Top-notch.
For those of you who are not hanging around for the safety dance, appreciate y'all swinging by tonight.
Yeah. Men with hats. Make sure it's men with hats. Don't.
I got you, man. You kidding me? You know what kind of operation I run here, Jacob?
This is a smooth operation.
Exactly.
Magic says, let's get ready to all sing along. Yeah, I agree. I'm surprised these jokers didn't know it. Giving me grief about a cannoli. Tad says, let's go. Thumbs up for the safety dance. See, give the people what they want. Just saying.
That's exactly what they wanted.
Eric Southern making sure that all giveaways are legit. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks for that, Eric.
Eric says he's going to
We know that's always been your opinion, too.
When you said safety dance, this is how I was reacting.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way?
It's a safety dance, anyway.
Does that look like it, Jacob?
I believe it is.
All right, let's crank it, boys. Again, for those of you who don't want to listen to this BS, appreciate y'all watching the show. Here we go with the safety dance.
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely getting hit with a copyright. Oh, my God.
Oh, okay. All right, I've heard this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is Monty Python and the Holy Grail just turned into a song because the movie wasn't working out.
I
Wow.
feel like I need to eat mushrooms and watch this.
I feel like we need to turn this thing off. I feel better playing home. I'd rather try to get Milwaukee on here. I don't think this is gonna work.
If we get our first copyright strike from this garbage,
all right, let's turn it off. Let's turn it off. I don't want to do it.
He said,
I got to get it off. I pulled the kibosh on that. There's no way. If we lose our Milwaukee rights because of that, Jacob,
I don't want to Home Depot. Yeah.
We're charging with a Milwaukee top off. Okay, we got a USB-C and a USB charger. I mean, it plugs into a wall. I can charge the computer with it. And if we lose that, Jacob,
it's my fault.
Let me play you a real song here, Jacob.
Let me play you something that's got a little bit more bite to it, Jacob.
We can do it, and we can help.
A little more bite to it. All right, we're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. Jacob, Emilio, thank y'all. Again, in honor of he'll be back soon. I know he's taking care of business tonight. He did give us a message that, hey, he stayed up way too late bidding on eBay stuff and spent way too much money on Packers memorabilia last night. So,
that's why I don't have an eBay account.
He might have got kicked out of the house, to be honest. That might have been what happened there. So if y'all would, though, just make sure you hit that like button as you leave. Appreciate y'all. That would help boost the algorithm for us so other Packer fans can find this channel and find this content. If you're watching on Twitter, on X, and you want a little easier interface to communicate in the chat, you can click on my profile on Twitter, and you'll see a YouTube link where you can go there and obviously subscribe to the channel, and it's a little bit easier to chat in there. So, again, Jacob, Emilio, appreciate y'all's time. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet, get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.